cyber briefing for Monday, the 30th of January. Hope everyone had a good weekend, and yeah, hope this week will be a good one for you all. Researchers are to release an RCE exploit of the VMware vRealize log vulnerability. In the ethics of these sorts of things is always open for discussion. But last Tuesday, VMware patched a vulnerability in the vRealize Log Insight product, which is basically a means by which administrators can get visibility of what's happening within the VMware estate. So on Tuesday of last week, I believe, VMware patched 4 security vulnerabilities, 2 of which are critical and can allow attackers to execute code remotely without authentication, so fairly serious. The group that identified these is researchers at Horizon 3's attack team. They have put together a proof of concept exploit which chains at least 3, I believe, of these vulnerabilities to give the attacker remote code execution on VMware, underlying VMware devices. So although the exploits are not particularly simple to execute, and as the log servers are unlikely to be on the internet, you would need to already have a presence within the environment. The fact that this exploit will be available it at least raises the stakes somewhat from the point of view of patching. So if you're running VMware, have a look. If you're running this particular component or using this particular component, check for VMware patches, and if you haven't applied them, I would strongly recommend that you apply them as quickly as possible. So the pro-Russia Killnet group has been targeting Germany with DDoS attacks. They've been targeting German airports, administrative bodies, and banks in retaliation to the German agreement to send Leopard 2 main battle tanks to the Ukraine. Finally, the Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced last week that he would be sending tanks to support Ukraine, after various other countries, including the UK, sending Challenger tanks. And finally, the thing that swung it for Herr Schultz is that the Americans are going to be sending some Abrams tanks to support the Ukrainians. So Germany finally chipped in with 14 Leopard 2s. Unsurprisingly, this has seen retaliation. Retaliation in the cyberspace is one of the areas where Russian-backed, Russian supporters have been perhaps a little more successful than they are currently being on the battlefield, but there we are. So just a reminder to anyone working in a country or anyone responsible for cybersecurity in a country which is visibly supporting Ukraine, that does mean all sorts of parts of the infrastructure may well become seen as legitimate targets to these nefarious Russian-backed groups. UK's in that space, so definitely please keep on top of indicators of compromise, indicators of attack, and be vigilant against these sorts of things. There is a new wiper that has been spotted, which is basically aiming to destroy Windows domains. So the wiper is known as Swift Slicer, and again, it is Potentially, it has come out of Russia, and it has been seen targeting the systems in the Ukraine. It's a Go-based data wiper. It basically is it's particularly fast. It overwrites certain sectors on the hard disk using 4096 byte blocks that are just filled with randomly generated bytes. After completing the data destruction job, the malware reboots the systems, which then renders them inoperative. It is notable in that it is one of the areas it targets is the system drive Windows NTDS folder, which indicates that it is designed not only to destroy files, but it is also designed to have impact on Windows domains. So look out for this one. Definitely worth checking that your endpoint protection suite has recognised this. This particular piece of malware has been uploaded to VirusTotal, and about half the antivirus providers used by VirusTotal apparently are detecting it as of when this article was written. I would expect that to be more now, as there is a lot of information sharing going on in the background there. Yeah, do watch out, because recovering an entire domain is painful. I haven't had to do it for many years, but I do remember it took a long time. It is difficult, and yeah, not something you want to happen to your organisation. So keep an eye out for that one. And finally, from me, there are updates to Bind, which patch multiple remotely exploitable vulnerabilities, the sorts of vulnerabilities that could lead to a denial of service attack. So Bind is the software that is very commonly used to run DNS. Bind itself is a suite of software that's maintained by the Internet Systems Consortium, ISC. It is de facto the way in which you name it, anything which needs resolving to its IP address goes through domain name resolution. Use a domain name system, which behind that is probably good. There is Bind. So there are patches available. Given the nature of the seriousness of exploits associated with DNS, as in, okay, theoretically you could just black hole all sorts of traffic. You could also, although perhaps not with these vulnerabilities, but theoretically, if you can control DNS, you can send people to malicious websites for malicious sites for particular names, whatever it may be. So if you're running the infrastructure patch, do appreciate it, because it is core infrastructure. There is understandably some nervousness around making changes, but equally, if your DNS servers or the DNS servers upstream from you get taken out through denial of service attacks, it's all going to be offline anyway. So would recommend that you look into these ASAP and apply the patches if at all possible. So that's everything from me for today. Hope you have a good week, and I will speak to you again this time tomorrow.